When most people hear the word spill, they think of a liquid. In fact, any dangerous substance that escapes its container, polluting the air, water, or earth, is a spill according to DND policy. The most common spills you're likely to deal with at CFB Gagetown involve petroleum products such as engine oil, lubricants, and fuel. Units are expected to be able to respond to and handle a POL spill of up to 100 liters. But many other dangerous substances are used here every day, such as acids and other chemicals, that can seriously harm the natural environment and human health. It is critical to understand what can happen in every place and situation if a material you work with is spilled. The purpose of this video is to show you the actions you are legally and ethically required to take when confronted with a spill, and best practices for prevention. There are a number of steps you must take to minimize the damage of any kind of spill, depending on the type of substance and the quantity released. First and foremost, assess the risk to human health and safety. If there is no imminent danger, the next step is to shut down all ignition sources, secure the area, and inform your supervisor. Using the equipment and techniques demonstrated in this video, do whatever it takes to contain and clean up the spill. Finally, you must properly dispose of the contaminants and report to your unit's environmental officer. Knowing the characteristics of the POL products you work with is the starting point of spill response readiness. Gasoline, for example, travels much faster and spreads more widely than oil and lubricants do. That's why it's critical to act quickly and look ahead to assess ignition sources and low-lying areas, such as drainage wells and waterways, in the path of the spill. All of the POL products you work with will float on water, so you must contain the spill on the surface and clean it up using non-water absorbing equipment. Antifreeze, by contrast, will mix with water instead of floating, which increases the difficulty of contaminant and cleanup. On the ground, different POL products will behave in different ways. Gasoline has a fairly low surface tension, so it spreads farther, quicker, and seeps faster and deeper into soil than substances with a higher surface tension, like oil and lubricants that tend to bead or pool. But just because a substance doesn't appear to sink into water or seep into soil, that doesn't mean it's gone once the surface is cleaned. Failure to respond to potential sunken or seeped spills can have disastrous effects on plant and animal life and on water quality. For example, if a 1-liter gasoline spill is allowed to migrate to the water table, that single liter of gas can contaminate over 1 million liters of groundwater over time. But water, earth, and other surfaces are not the only aspects of the environment to consider. There's the air, too. Some POL products, especially gasoline, produce dangerous, toxic, and flammable vapors that can travel low along the floor and collect in trenches. Smothering is the first line of defense to keep vapor travel at a minimum. Fire and explosion are some of the worst chemical reactions you can face. Doing whatever you can to eliminate all heat, oxygen, and fuel sources is critical. Knowing the properties of the POL products you work with and the risks associated with them is the first step in being able to respond. But remember, spills don't stop with POL. There's always the chance of a spill that involves other dangerous substances in your work environment, each with its own characteristics. Know the hazardous materials that you work with and learn about your unit's spill response plan. Even with all the planning and training that's conducted, accidents can and will happen. Some accidents are avoidable. Others are unpredictable. But one thing is for sure, your reaction to a spill is serious business, especially when it comes to the law. And ignorance of the law is not an adequate defense if you ever find yourself before an inquiry. Under Canadian federal and provincial law, failure to show adequate care in reacting, containing, and cleaning up spills can lead to serious consequences for DND and yourself, including negative media attention and public perception, on top of million-dollar fines and cleanup costs. The laws that govern spills are incredibly detailed and far-reaching. They can be found in various acts, including the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, the Transportation of Dangerous Goods Act, the Fisheries Act, the Auditor General's Act, and if you are training off base, New Brunswick's Clean Water Act. When a spill occurs, all employees and contractors of DND have a legal duty to contain the spill and minimize its effects, to dispose of all contaminated materials properly, and to report the spill to designated authorities. CFB Gagetown Base Standing Order 10.4.4 provides directions for all personnel on how to handle spills in a lawful manner. Protect yourself by starting out right with good due diligence. Prepare for foreseeable risks. Abide by all regulations and respond in a timely manner when a spill occurs. Commercial absorbents come in a number of different forms for different uses: absorbable, peat, and absorbent sheets, to name a few. Some absorbents are used to turn liquids into gels, while others soak them up and swell. Which one you will use depends on what surface the liquid is spilled on. For example, oil spills on water require an oil-only or hydrophobic absorbent. Any absorbents used on water must be able to float until they can be safely removed. Sheets, like the one shown here, can be used to contain and clean up small spills, or to wipe off small pieces of equipment and footwear. Absorbent rolls can be pulled and cut to cover a larger spill or laid over a spill on water. Pillows, mesh bags filled with absorbent material, can be used to clean contaminants out of any contaminant area. These sock-like booms, also filled with absorbent material, can be used to stop the path of a surface or water spill and absorb the spill at the same time. Several can be joined together for a wider span. Ensure that booms draped across a stream to collect or stop a spill are angled to shore, where there is less water movement and the product can pool. Sweeps, which look very similar to booms, have a rope attached to them so you can use a sweeping motion through water to collect pools of contaminants. Commercial absorbents, both the granular forms and the pads or sheets, are expensive to buy and expensive to dispose of. Use what it takes to properly clean up a spill, but not an excessive amount. Most people use far more than is needed. Absorbents are the most commonly used materials for containing and cleaning up spills, but occasionally they are not available or not adequate to deal with the spill. Regardless, you are required to act. Depending on where you are, the volume of the spill and what was spilled, there are a number of methods you can use to handle the situation. Always try to stop the leak first. If you cannot stop the leak, then at least try to contain it and confine it to the smallest area possible. Pop-up pools are a great tool to contain a spill at the source and prevent a larger spill. Other containers can be used as well, such as ration boxes lined with plastic. Use whatever compatible products you have available. A dike is a wall that stops or diverts the path of the spill. It can be made quickly with lumber, dirt, tarps, fire hose, commercial absorbents, or other materials you have on hand. Even if a spill appears to be contained, build a dike around it. Drains in manholes should always be diked and covered to block spills from entering. You could use vehicle drip pads or plywood with a sufficient weight. Earth on top of plastic will work as well. Diversion involves trenching or using dikes to redirect the flow of the spill. Divert a spill only if the substance is heading towards a sensitive area, since diversion increases the size of the spill field. To block a spill from entering or traveling further in ditches and streams, dam it. A simple dam can be built from a variety of items you may have on hand, such as sandbags, earth, lumber, and boulders. When damming a spill in a flowing water course, ensure that you don't completely stop the flow of water. pump or divert the water to let it continue its natural movement downstream. Weirs are used to control spills in water, and especially in moving water. A weir can be made from anything that can stretch across the waterway, such as a log or wooden plank, and can act as a skimmer on the water's surface. POL products are lighter than water, so they float on the surface and collect behind the weir as the water continues to flow beneath it. Place a boom ahead of the log to collect small amounts of contaminants that get by, especially before the weir is removed. CFB Gagetown standing orders require that all units maintain a fully stocked spill kit, kept in a place known to all personnel. Since different units use different types of material, the contents of spill kits can vary depending on the physical properties of the materials being used. However, all spill kits should contain the following materials: cleanup materials, including absorbent pads, booms, pillows, granular absorbents, plugging compounds, and shovels. Disposal materials, including plastic bags and labels for identifying its contents. Personal protective equipment, or PPE, including oil-resistant gloves, protective eyeglasses, and safety vest. Spills can happen at any time, in any place, and in a number of different ways. In this situation, a sharp object on the road has punctured the fuel tank. Your first reaction might be to try and stop the leak. But eliminating all ignition sources in the immediate area must come first. As soon as you ensure the vehicle is no longer running, secure the site so that nothing else comes in contact with the spill, including other personnel or moving objects.
I'm okay. There's a fuel leak though. Can you stop your truck there, put on your hazards, don't let anybody else go by, and can you get a hold of range control? All right.
When the site is secure, survey the area and assess the path of the spilled material for the sensitivity of what's ahead of it. Attempt to stop the leak if possible. Here, the soldier was able to plug the leak with his glove. In this situation, however, changing the flow path of the spill is even more important to stop the fuel from entering the stream and minimize the harm. The fuel here is diesel. Do not use snow trenches when the fuel is gasoline, as it spreads much further and wider than diesel.
Yeah, Corporal Collins? Yeah, it's Corporal Timon. I just flipped the ML down here by Swan Lake, man. We had a little bit of a diesel leak. It's not too bad, but I need you to grab some of the spill kit stuff we got there.
Locate the vehicle spill kit and proceed to clean the spill. Inside the kit, you will find a number of the commercial absorbents, plastic bags, and labels you will need. Since the fuel has been contained in a pool, a pillow can be used to absorb the fuel. Use snow berms to surround the pool to prevent the escape of any fuel during the cleaning process. Once the pillow is full, carefully place it in the plastic bag. If the protective berms have absorbed any fuel, place them inside the plastic bag too. Use absorbent pads to wipe along the path of the spill and clean up in and around the leak site. Label the bag to identify its contents.
Roll the truck over, cleaning up the mess.
All right, I got this now. We'll get this righted. Once we're done here, take my truck back with the materials to the hazardous waste site. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, I do.
All right, once you get back, make sure you talk to the unit environment officer, and so he can make a report on SpillNet.
In workplaces that use and store hazardous materials, personnel must take care to ensure such materials are always in their proper place and secure. But that doesn't always happen. In this situation, a drum with a loose bung was left in the path of a forklift operator. Because other personnel are at hand, teamwork is the best way to respond.
You gonna shut the engine off? Looks like antifreeze. We're gonna roll this so the cap's on top. Go get the spill kit.
Every unit on base is required to have a spill response plan, which describes response actions and gives warnings about the properties of the dangerous goods found in the immediate area.
Actually, no, we'll do this after. Let's secure the drain first.
With this type of spill, like every other, it is important to look ahead and assess where the spilled material might end up and prioritize your actions. Here, the soldiers use an absorbent pad to cover the drain and encircle the drain with a protective berm before they clean up the spill. Whether or not you know what the spilled material is, evacuate and ventilate the area to prevent any possible ill health effects from vapor inhalation or, at worst, fire. Again, make sure all ignition sources are extinguished. When you call it in, make sure to mention what was spilled and how much, whether it's under control, and if there are any sensitive areas.
Yes, this is Corporal Johnson from Base Supply. Yeah, we had a spill here of antifreeze here at B10. Yeah, we have it contained. There's a floor drain. We have that contained as well. Yeah, about 20 liters.
Now that the drain is secure, soak up the spill with pads and place them in a plastic bag. Clean the floor using a small amount of Absorbable. Do not overuse the material. Once it has absorbed what's left, use a shovel to scoop the material into the bag. Be sure to keep the bag over the spill area to prevent further spills into non-contaminated areas. Tie the bag, place it inside a second one, and tie up that bag too. Write the contents on a label and affix it to the bag. Then, take it to your unit's hazardous waste disposal area. Be sure to complete your spill net report.
Let's get the spill kit.
In this situation, a hose has burst, releasing hydraulic fluid into a stream. When connecting two booms together, overlap them so that no contaminants can pass through them. After you lay it down, make sure to secure it with a heavy object, like a rock.
What about downstream? We're going to need something else, especially if it gets past the boom. Like what? Something to catch it off the top, something that floats.
Remember, A weir can be made from wooden planks, boards, or logs, or anything else that floats enough to catch the fuel while allowing the stream to flow beneath it.
Yes, this is Dawn Cavanaugh from Roads and Grounds section. I'm reporting a hydraulic spill out at the Head Ops section off the Drummond Road. It's approximately 20 liters, and I'm just calling to inform you that we have contained it at the moment, and we are doing cleanup.
To remove the hydraulic fluid from the water, use an absorbent pad or roll that repels water. Lay the pad on top of the hydraulic fluid and lift it off using a backwards motion. Repeat until the entire slick is removed. Remove the weir and wipe it down. Place all contaminated equipment into a plastic bag, tie it, and label it to indicate the contents. When in range, drop the contaminated equipment at the range disposal site on Shirley Road. Empty the contaminated soil on the concrete pad and place contaminated materials in the hazardous waste storage container. And remember to complete your spill net report. In the case of a spill and for assistance, contact the fire hall at local 2106 for spills in garrison or off base. Call range control at local 2482 if spills occur in the training area. Additional training is provided by 3ASG Hazmat Officer at extension 7201. Do you know where your spill kit is? Be ready to respond. It's your responsibility.